It all begins with a single moment. One person looking up. Tonight, that person is a commercial airline pilot. Let's call him David. He has flown the same transatlantic route for 20 years. He knows the stars by name. He recognizes every satellite, every weather balloon, every distant glimmer of another jetliner. The night sky is his second home, but tonight, something is different. Something is there that should not be. It is not a star. It is not another aircraft. It is a silent, dark shape against the deeper darkness of space. It is blotting out the constellations he knows so well. It is simply hanging there, motionless and vast. David's heart begins to pound, a frantic drum against the calm hum of the cockpit instruments. His co-pilot sees it too. They don't speak for a full minute. They just stare. The object is a perfect triangle. No lights, no sound, no visible means of propulsion. It is a void in the sky, an impossible geometry suspended at 40,000 feet. What do you say when you see something your training and experience tells you cannot exist? The manual has no checklist for this. The training simulators never prepared them for a silent giant shadowing their multi-million-dollar aircraft. In this small, quiet cockpit, the world has just changed forever. They go through the motions. They contact air traffic control. Their voices are steady and professional, but the strain is unmistakable. On the radar, there is nothing. A ghost. But with their own eyes, they see it. It is as real as the controls under their hands. Then, without a sound and without disturbance to the air, the object moves. It doesn't accelerate in any way they understand. It is simply gone. One moment, it is a mountain-sized hole in the night sky. The next, it is just stars again. The silence it leaves behind is louder than any engine roar. It is the sound of a question that has no answer. That moment of impossibility is no longer isolated. It is not a story told in hushed tones, dismissed as fantasy, dismissed as fatigue. David's experience is now just one of thousands. These moments are happening to pilots, sailors, soldiers, ordinary people all over the world. They are happening in broad daylight and in the dead of night. They are being captured on radar, on infrared cameras, and on the phones of stunned onlookers. The impossible has become undeniable. It has moved from the fringes of speculation into the chambers of power. The question is no longer if these things are real. The question is what we do now that we know they are here. For generations, the subject was a punchline, a career killer, a fast track to ridicule. Serious people did not talk about flying saucers. Not in public anyway. Behind closed doors, classified briefings, secure facilities. The conversation never stopped. The data was collected. The reports were filed. The evidence was studied. A wall of official secrecy and public stigma kept the reality contained. A truth deemed too disruptive, too strange for public consumption. We were told it was swamp gas. We were told it was weather balloons. We were told we did not see what we knew we saw. That wall seemed impenetrable, but walls, no matter how high, eventually crumble. In Washington, D.C., the change is seismic, a tectonic shift in policy and posture. The United States Congress has officially stepped in. Lawmakers, driven by credible military testimony, have grown tired of decades of evasion. They are demanding answers. The fiscal year 2026 National Defense Authorization Act now contains a stunning mandate. It requires the Pentagon to establish rapid response teams. Their mission, to be dispatched to investigate any active UAP sighting. Their mission, to provide immediate briefings to congressional leaders. The era of automatic denial is over. Think about what this means. The government is no longer just collecting historical reports. It is preparing for real-time intercepts. It is creating a formal process to confront this phenomenon as it happens. This isn't a research project anymore. This is national security. This is an admission that something is operating in our skies with impunity. Our defense establishment has a duty to respond. The stigma that once silenced decorated pilots and radar operators is evaporating under congressional oversight. The subject has moved from the basement of the Pentagon to the floor of the House and Senate. The The walls are not just crumbling, they are being dismantled, brick by brick. The implications are profound. This mandate transforms the UAP issue into one of urgent, ongoing importance. It gives legal and political cover to military personnel who witness these events. They now have a clear protocol and a protected path to report what they see without fear of reprisal. This decision by Congress is the single greatest step toward transparency in over 70 years. It acknowledges a fundamental truth. Something is out there. And for the first time, the people in charge are preparing to meet it. With the political walls breached, the floodgates of information have swung wide open. The dam of secrecy has broken. In September 2025, the House Oversight Committee held a hearing that electrified the world. It was not blurry photos or vague anecdotes. It featured high-ranking military whistleblowers, top-secret clearances, commanded squadrons, operated our most advanced sensor systems. They sat under oath and described encounters with craft that defy physics. They spoke of a legacy of secrecy and efforts to retrieve and hide materials of non-human origin. Their testimony was calm, factual, devastating. Mainstream media, once an enforcer of the taboo, was forced to follow. The sheer volume of new information became impossible to ignore. NewsNation reported, in the first 6 months of 2025, nearly 3,000 new UAP sightings were officially reported. This isn't a trickle, it's a deluge. The numbers show a new reality. Pilots, air traffic controllers, the public, empowered to report. Fear of ridicule replaced by civic duty. This surge isn't confined to government channels. The Age of Disclosure, a new documentary, became a cultural touchstone. It features on-the-record interviews with military witnesses. Their faces and stories add a human element. The film, plus articles and TV specials, cemented UAPs in public consciousness. A global conversation. Coffee shops, social media, dinner tables. Even the political landscape is shifting. The Trump administration, back in office, is expected to prioritize UAP disclosure. The topic crosses partisan lines, tapping public hunger for transparency. Congressional action, whistleblower testimony, relentless media. The information is now flowing freely. The challenge is no longer finding proof. It's processing the overwhelming evidence already here. The flood has arrived. The world feels different now. The sky itself looks different. Knowing what we now know, looking up is no longer a passive act. It is a search. Every distant light, every strange cloud formation now carries a new weight, a new possibility. The foundation of our reality has been shaken. We are grappling with a truth that few of us were prepared for. We are not alone. This is not a philosophical concept anymore. It is a practical reality, backed by radar data, pilot testimony, government admissions. The presence of a non-human intelligence is no longer the stuff of science fiction. It is the defining story of the 21st century. This new reality forces us to ask fundamental questions. Questions about ourselves. If humanity is not the sole proprietor of consciousness in the universe, or even on this planet, what does that mean for our identity? Our religions, our philosophies, our tribal conflicts, our national borders. We defined human in opposition to the animals and the earth around us. But now, we are confronted with a new other. An other that is not just different, but technologically superior. Perhaps evolutionarily superior. Who are we in relation to them? The question of coexistence moves from theory to practice. How do you coexist with an intelligence that can disable your most advanced weapon systems at will? How do you establish communication or diplomacy with beings whose motives and biology are completely unknown? These are not just challenges for our governments and our militaries. They are challenges for every single one of us. The presence of these objects, these potential beings, holds up a mirror. It forces us to see ourselves as a single planetary species. Our internal squabbles and divisions suddenly seem so small in the face of such a vast and profound context. This series, The Watchers, will explore this new landscape. We will examine the facts, the science, and the witnesses. But more than that, we will explore what this means for us. We will ask the difficult questions. What do we become next? How does our understanding of God, of life, and of our own purpose change? The line between humanity and something else is beginning to fade. We are standing on the precipice of a new chapter in our collective story. The journey is unsettling. It is exciting, and it has already begun. The future of what it means to be human is being written in the skies above us. The change did not come as a formal announcement from a world leader. It did not come as a dry scientific paper. It came as a sudden, undeniable, and global spectacle. On a clear Tuesday afternoon in late 2026, the sky itself seemed to open up. It began not with one sighting, but with thousands, almost simultaneously, in major cities across every continent: New York, Tokyo, London, São Paulo. The normal hustle of urban life came to a dead stop. People poured out of office buildings and cafes. Faces turned upward, smartphones held aloft like a million tiny offerings. The city sounds, the traffic and commerce, fell into an eerie, collective silence, punctuated only by gasps of disbelief. The era of grainy videos and fleeting glimpses was over. The phenomenon was no longer hiding. High above the cityscape, a perfect metallic saucer hung motionless against the blue canvas of the afternoon sky. It was the classic saucer shape we've imagined for decades. It reflected sunlight like polished silver, a flawless, seamless machine with no visible lights, no wings, no discernible method of propulsion. It was simply there, a silent, breathtaking violation of what we thought we knew. The initial reaction was not panic, but a profound, shared sense of awe. All the divisions that defined human society seemed to melt away. Race, religion, nationality, none of it mattered. Everyone on that street in every city was united by a single, overwhelming experience. Just humans staring up at the impossible. The object made no aggressive move. It simply hung there, a silent testament to a power beyond our own. It was a demonstration without words. We are here. The entire world listened with its eyes. This event, repeated around the globe, was the turning point. UAPs moved from debate to lived reality for billions. The evidence was now in the sky for all to see. Governments and secret briefings were rendered instantly obsolete. They were no longer the gatekeepers of the truth. The truth had revealed itself, more spectacular and more terrifying than anyone imagined. The world had changed in a single afternoon. As dusk fell, the saucers disappeared. They did not fly away. They simply vanished, winking out of existence in an instant. A collective breath was held around the planet. Was it over? Was it a dream? The answer came as darkness settled. In the night sky, a new formation appeared. This time, it was not a single object, but a fleet. Massive, dark, triangular craft. Their scale was immense, each one blotting out the stars behind it. Their presence defined only by the three soft, white lights at each corner. Unlike the static saucers, these triangular craft were on the move. They flew in slow, deliberate patterns, tracing lines over sleeping suburbs and glittering city grids. Their movements were coordinated on a global scale, suggesting a single, controlling intelligence. From satellite images later released, they appeared as a vast, interconnected network of lights moving across the dark side of the planet. The world's militaries were helpless. Fighter jets were scrambled, but they could do little more than escort the objects from a safe distance. Any attempt to get too close was met with a passive but effective response. The triangular craft would simply vanish and reappear miles away in an instant. A casual display of technological superiority that rendered our most advanced weaponry obsolete. The message was clear. We could not touch them. We could not stop them. We were spectators in our own airspace. The triangular craft were not just objects. They were a presence. They filled the night sky with a sense of authority and mystery. The saucers had been a declaration. The triangles were a demonstration of control. They were showing us that the sky, which we had always thought of as ours, was no longer exclusively our domain. The sightings reached their terrifying and transformative climax in the hours before dawn. In a public park in Chicago, one of the massive triangular craft would descend. It would stop, hovering just a few hundred feet above the ground, its three-corner lights illuminating a perfect circle on the earth below. The silence would become even more profound, a heavy, electric stillness. Then, from the center of the craft's underbelly, a brilliant, warm column of light would descend, touching the ground like a solid pillar. And within that light, for the first time, there were figures. They were not the monsters of our nightmares or the saviors of our dreams. They were simply other. Tall, slender, graceful. Their forms were humanoid but distinctly non-human. Their movements were fluid and deliberate. They did not speak. They did not gesture. They simply stood within the column of light, observing the small, stunned crowds at the edges of the illuminated circle. Their presence was overwhelming. It was the confirmation of a truth we had long suspected but had never been forced to confront. We were not just seeing their technology, we were seeing them. The intelligence behind the mystery was no longer an abstraction. It had a face. In those moments, we were no longer the dominant species on our own planet. We were the subjects of a study, specimens being observed in our natural habitat by a vastly superior intelligence. These brief encounters, lasting only a few minutes before the light retracted and the craft ascended, were the most profound events in human history. They were broadcast live, the shaky cell phone footage capturing the raw, unfiltered reality of first contact. The images of these clearly visible alien figures were burned into the global consciousness. They were the answer to the oldest question we had ever asked, and their arrival posed a million new ones. Who were they? Why were they here? And what did their silent, judging presence mean for the future of humanity? In the days that followed the sighting, the world did not descend into chaos. It did not erupt in war. It did not collapse in panic. Instead, it entered a state of profound and collective paralysis. The stock markets remained closed. Not because of a crash, because no one was trading. Businesses stayed shuttered. Not because of a lockdown. Employees at home, glued to their screens. Customers at home, staring at the sky. The ceaseless, frantic motion of modern life had come to a standstill. The entire planet was holding its breath, transfixed. The global conversation became a monologue. Every news channel, every social media platform, every dinner table discussion was about them. This search for meaning played out in the streets. Spontaneous public gatherings became common. In some places, these took on the air of a revival. In other places, the mood was more somber. A non-human presence forced humanity to look at itself in a new light. Our own conflicts, our politics, our national borders, suddenly small and petty. A new planetary identity began to emerge, born of vulnerability and awe. World leaders held emergency video conferences, faces grim. What could they possibly decide? How do you make policy for an intelligence that can appear and disappear at will? The world was not in chaos. It was in limbo, suspended animation, waiting for the visitors to make the next move. The presence of a non-human intelligence in our world has become the ultimate mirror. In their silent, inscrutable gaze, we are forced to see ourselves with a clarity we have never before possessed. Their technology so casually defies our known physics. It reflects the limits of our own scientific understanding, their silent, coordinated global presence. It reflects the disunity and conflict that has defined our history. The nuclear connection, the persistent monitoring of our most destructive weapons, is the most damning reflection. It suggests they are interested in our capacity for self-destruction. We are watched not for wisdom, but because we are the child in the room playing with matches. But the mirror also shows our potential. We've seen our capacity for unity, for shared wonder. New rituals of contact emerge. Art, music, desperate, beautiful attempts to communicate. The mirror shows that even facing extinction-level power, our first instinct is to reach out. Ultimately, the mirror forces the most important identity crisis in human history. If we are not the only ones, who are we? It forces us to decide what we want to be. The volatile, divided species? Or the hopeful, creative species? The mirror is there. The choice is ours. The most profound and unsettling consequence of their presence is the gradual fading of the line between human and non-human. Our science is now grappling with their physics. Our philosophers are debating their consciousness. Our artists are trying to imagine their aesthetics. Their existence is a new variable in every equation of human thought. The potential for reverse engineering their technology presents a future where our own technology is no longer purely our own. We would become a species shaped by a technology we did not invent. The line between our creations and theirs would blur into non-existence. We are now confronted with beings who are our equals or superiors. This forces us to seek a new definition of ourselves. Perhaps being human is not about being unique, but about our specific experience, our capacity for love, for grief, for irrational hope, and for flawed, messy, beautiful lives. We are entering a gray area, a liminal space between what we were and what we will become next. The firm boundary that once separated humanity from everything else in the universe is dissolving, leaving us in a new, uncertain, and profoundly altered state of being. So, what do we become next? There is no single, easy answer. We are standing at the dawn of a new era. The light it casts is both hopeful and deeply unsettling. The hope lies in the potential for transformation, to overcome our petty divisions, to see ourselves as a single planetary species, to address our shared challenges with a new sense of urgency and unity. It could be the beginning of an interstellar education. The hope is also for a new kind of humanism. Confronted by an intelligence that is truly alien, we may learn to better appreciate what binds us together. Our shared biology, our shared history on this planet, our shared emotional landscape. Perhaps first contact is not about learning about them, but about learning to truly value ourselves and each other, not worshiping them as gods, but to us finally treating each other with the respect and dignity that all conscious beings deserve. Yet this dawn is also deeply unsettling. The power imbalance is absolute. Our future is no longer entirely in our own hands. We live under a silent, watchful eye whose motives are unknown and whose capabilities are limitless. This is a profound loss of sovereignty. The most unsettling thought is that their silence may be the message. They are simply here. Their presence and their refusal to engage on our terms may be the ultimate lesson in cosmic humility. It teaches us that the universe is not about us. For so long, we have called this series The Watchers. But the final conclusion of this story is a profound reversal of that role. The ultimate truth is that we are not the watchers. We are the ones being watched. We are the subjects of the study. Our planet is the laboratory. Our history is the data set. We are not alone, shouting questions into a silent, empty void. We are on a stage, with a vast and ancient audience that has been here all along. If we are being watched, it forces us to consider what kind of show we want to put on. The future of humanity will be defined by how we choose to answer that question. It will be written in our actions, in our choices, in the kind of society we build, under their silent, ever-present gaze. The skies are no longer empty. The great silence has been broken, not by a sound, but by a presence. The watchers are being watched, and the next act is ours to write.